started a web application and I'm going to give it a name as start service. So I've given it a name as start service. Click next. Select the JSF framework as your option. I will change the configuration as start.xhtml and then let's finish it off. So let's start with this is regarding a car service station, and we are interested in developing the order processing form for a car service station. So let's look at how we can build a simple order processing form. The only thing that we are going to do is within an order we have two pieces. One piece contains the customer information like the name of the customer and the car and so on. There will be the other piece that contains the details of the service and the spare parts that were used to repair that particular car. So if you give a car for servicing, there will be some changes that or some new parts or some replacement or some maintenance that will be performed, and all of them will be listed over here apart from the customer details and the customer name and the details. So these two pieces, that is what we are going to develop. So just a simple order form that contains the detail order. In fact, we are going to develop just an invoice that contains the details. So let's go ahead and let's build the application. And this is what we are going to do right at the beginning. We are going to start with a template. So let's start a template. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to build a template. So right click on it and then go to the new, others, and then select, I will select the template itself, not the client template. And I'm going to store it in the web.in. Now let's build a order form so that we can see the effect of what we are doing. Otherwise, it will be a difficult task for us to see what is happening because it's not showing us what is happening. Now, based on this template, I'm going to build the client, and I'm going to run that client first, and then we can see the changes as and when we are doing something. So I'm going to right click on it, right click on the web pages here, and then I'm going to go to the new. This time I'm going to select the client template, that is the template client, and then I'm going to give it as cash bill. So I'm going to just develop the cash bill, and I'm going to select the template here from the web end. So I've stored that template in the web end. Let me select that template. So I've selected it as cash bill, and I'm going to this time select the root as HTML. So last class when I did that, it said that some of the HTML tags are creating problem to me, and it expects me, if I'm using the second option, it expects me to type everything in the JSF. So I don't want to do that, and I am not interested in getting the top, the left, the bottom. So I'm not. If you are not getting this one, you can delete it at the later stage. If you're not getting this option, just click finish and then get rid of them. So if you're getting it, well and good. If you're not getting it, once you get the page, delete them and just keep this content. So as simple as that. Delete the remaining part, not the all the other things. Just delete this top, left, bottom, all those things. Just keep this part once you get the page. You're not getting that option. Okay, so let's go back and I'm going to set the starter page as this page. So if I run my application, I want this page to be the starter page. The way in which I am going to do it is I will go here to the web.env folder of my project and I'm going to start the web.xml. In the web.xml, you can set it directly. This is just an XML file and you will notice that right at the bottom it says welcome file is this. You can manually set it, but I'm going to use this pages option. This is going to give you a GUI view, that's all. It's going to filter out and show it in a neat way. So I'm going to select that pages and then make the changes. I don't want this as my starter page. So I'm going to delete that and then click on browse. Select the web pages and I'm going to select the cache bill as my starter page. You can do it like this or you can go to the source and then do it in the other way around. Option is yours. This is the same thing that it is trying to show. If you made a mistake, you can just make changes in this one also. If you know the XML, you can do it. Once you have done that thing, let's come back and just run this application and then you'll get a feel as to what we are trying to do. So I'm going to just right click on my application and I'm going to say run this application. Just give it a try so that we know what is the output, how the output will look. In the meantime, I want a graphics image for my application. And yesterday I told you that I have some image here and that is called as car logo. It's there in the essential, you can get it. I'm going to select one image from here. You can select any one of them. So I'll select one of them. Control C to copy it. I'm not going to copy it at any location. I'm going to copy it at within a folder. The reason behind it is it's always good to keep the files in a neat arranged way so that it's easier to see the content. This is not the one. I want that this is for some other reason. Now this is how it's going to, you are already familiar, nothing is going to come. I'm going to put my title at this place. So this part is for the title. I'm going to get that part first. So for that I need an image at this location. So that's the reason I'm using this. So let's go here to the web pages, right click on it and I'm going to create a new folder first. So new folder. If you are not getting the folder, go to the others and the last option, I think others and others, somewhere you get it and then you get a folder option. You search for it and you get the folder option. I'm going to give the folder a name as images. You can call it anything. Usually they are placed inside the resources, but I'll defer it. And I'm going to paste that car logo that I have just copied. So just paste it here. And I want this thing to be part of it. Now we are going to only work on the template, not on the cache bit. So we are going to make modification to the template and we are going to touch the top part of the template. So go to the template now. So that is my template, which is here. So I'm going to work on this one. Now I want so I'm going to delete that top word. I'm going to make some space there. So I deleted the top and maybe some space there. I'm going to put a div here. So let's start with the div. And I want the graphics image. The way in which you do it is, yesterday I told you, get graphics, graphic image. The value is, you have to type the value, and the value is, it is under images folder, and it's the name of that image. So I go here and get this one. Just click once, wait for some time, click again, Control C to copy that thing. There is a space here. If you don't want, you can remove the space from here. In between the logo and 3, there is a space. .jpg. Everything is case sensitive. Look at how it is written here. If it is in capital, you have to type it in capital. If it is small case, you have to type it in small case. Just save it and get it here to see how it's going to look like. Press F5 to refresh it. It's going to come very large. I'm going to get this size. I'm going to fix it like say 75. Width is slightly larger, 75 by 50. So how do I restrict myself? So can I go here and can I say the width? So width is, let me fix it as say 65 pixel, and height is say 45 pixel. Getting it slightly reduced. So let's see how many others we are going to get. That's enough, I think, for the logo. It's going to reduce it, shrink it. If you want, you can adjust it. I'm not going to waste my time in the aligning of all the things. I think that's enough with us. I want to put one more div here. So I'm going to go over here and put one more div. And now I'm going to set the title. So let me put the title in 2 spans. So I'll start with the span. This is HTML. This has nothing to do with the Java. So I'm going to say cars service station. I want it to be a title. So how do I make it a proper? See, this is not the preferred way, but we will start with this. I think you have already used. You have to style it using these style sheets. So either you can use a style sheet and then associate it with it, or you can go for inline styling. I'll go with the inline styling. So I'm going to say style, and I want the font size to be increased. The way in which I'm going to do is, I'm going to say font control space. It's going to give you an option font size. I'll make it as 24 points. Font size 24 points. Control S to save it. Give it a try and see what's effect. You will have like this. When you put the div, it's going to divide it and get it onto the other side. I want this one to come on the other side. So how do I do it is, I have to tell one of them to float. So if you put two divs will not come in one line. You have to say that one of the div has to float. I will float the first one. So let me float the first div. This is, again, all of them are HTML. I'm going to go to the div 1, that is the graphics div, the one that has the graphics div, and I'm going to put the style for that. And I'm going to say I want it to be floated to left. You can put this values in the CSS and then associate that CSS, but I'll do it this way. What's the effect? You notice that it floated. You're just asking one of them to float. The others you can float it to the other side. You can float it onto the other side. The next one is I want this piece to slightly go to the other side. The way in which I am going to do is I am going to put some padding space over here so that it slightly moves to the other side. So let me do that thing. And I am going to go here to the second one. You can go and do it with anything. You can even do it with the span. I think I'll do it with this one. Style. I'll say padding by, let's say, 20 pixel. Now this, because it is floating, it may be a bit difficult for it to show, but anyway, because the second div is actually floating. If you get that like this, it is floating. The second one is actually floating. So you can do the padding for the span itself. So if you notice that it's not getting in the way that you wanted, so get this one and get the div as it is. Go for the second one and then just pad it. So the way I'm going to do it is, there is already one style. I'm going to say padding, say 20 pixel. Second one is already there. So this is all HTML part, and you get the space that you just padded it to the other side. Okay. If you want, you can make it as bold. So I will just try with few of them things. I'll make this one. Remember, there is a semicolon separation between every command that you write. This is a key, this is a value, then followed by semicolon. It has to be there. That is the syntax that you are supposed to follow. The next one, I'm going to go with the font weight. I want to make it as bold. So I'm going to say font weight, and I'll select it as control space whenever you are making the choice bold. Font weight is bold, and I'll finally set the color for this. So color is just a color. Control space whenever you are typing something. So key value pair. Every key value is separated by a semicolon, and you can use control space and make your choice. If you're not getting any choice, you can just use the red, blue, green, and all the colors that you studied in your primary are working here. So like this, you can type it, or you can use the hexadecimal equivalent value. It's going to go fine. So let's go and let's look at the effect. What is it? You want to get it slightly, but you notice that this piece is actually overlapping. So how do you get it? I want one more line that will come after this. So maybe I think that's enough. Cross service station. Let me fix this one. This is slightly, I want this blue line to slightly increase. So how do I do that? Now this time you are not left with the choice here. You can't touch this space because that is part of the CSS. You touch the CSS, but the top one is actually bounded by the CSS. If you notice over here, the top is given an ID, and it's actually trying to use that ID for that. Let me go to the project and let me go to the resources. Under resources, you have the CSS. You can type all the CSS here. The reason why they put this one out is you notice by now you have already cluttered the tags here, and it's going to be a terrible thing. Let's go to the resources. Under resources, we have CSS layout. The advisable option is to go to this CSS and add the changes to this. Let me double click on it and let me go to the top, and you see that they have given already the margin for the top, bottom, and everything. I will just set the height of the top So I'm going to say height of it was actually given as 10 pixel they have given. I'm going to make it as a, did I went for 45, so I'll make it as 50 pixel. So I'll make it, I think I gave the 45 as my height, I don't remember, for the graphics, and set it there, save it, and then just refresh it. I think that should do it. Let's go ahead and let's do the next part. So we have the parts service station, and we will be concentrating on this area now. Now that's enough for us. You can put all the others and waste your time in trying to make the things that we have made. Let's go ahead and let's not bother about these pieces now. So I'm going to close this one, and I'm going to close the template. I won't be touching the template anymore because it's not really required. I think I'll come back to the template slightly later. As of now, it's not really required. So we will be working only with these two things. One is the bill, that we will be only concentrating on the bill. I think I will have to touch it once because you get this piece over here. Right at the top you get pasted template. I just want to get rid of it. Suppose if you are not aware of it, let's go to this template and just make the title. So go to this template. I'll open it once. So go to this template, and right at the title you see there is something called as a title here in the my template XHTML. Just make it as cards. Just the title of the template, so that it won't show like a facelet or something. So that it just shows some. So let's now work on the other part, and what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to get the details of the customer. So let's try to get the details of the customer, and the way in which we are going to do is we are going to start with the classes. So we will have one class that will represent the customer who has given the car for servicing, and second class that will represent the individual parts within the that were replaced. So let's go and let's now concentrate on the source packages. We are going to start with the source package now, and I'm going to add one class here. So let me right click on it, and let's add a other and Java server faces, and I'm going to select the Java managed B, that is JSF managed B. Let's click next, and let's give it a name, and I'm going to give it as the customer order, or I can even give it as a bill. Did I give it what's the name I gave it to my, what was the name? Just a minute, you don't have to close it. I gave some name for this one. Okay, this was cash bill. I'll make it as just a bill. This is a bill of a customer. Short form you can say customers, anything you can say. I'm talking about a bill because customer will be some other object altogether, and I'm going to store it in the COM user package, and I want it to be in session. This is per session, per customer, so I want it to be a session scope, and it is going to use it in small case. So you must follow the convention. The name of the class is in capital bill, and B is capital. Next one is this one. So let's finish it off. Let's go over here, and let's try to create few fields. So I'm going to start with the first field here, and we are supposed to have the bill number. This is just for the reference. Later I'm going to change the bill number. I think I can generate the bill number automatically because we don't expect somebody to type the bill number. So I'm going to type the customer name at least. Bill number I can generate it automatically at the later stage. So let's go ahead and let's start with the private string customer name. I'm going to make it as C name. Customer name, C in capital, so customer name. And then I want to know when the car was given for servicing. Now, I will assume the current date as my date because sometimes the bill will be to some other dates. So we are not going to take the fixed date, but I'm going to show the date there. So let's take the private. Usual thing what they are going to do is they will make note of two things: the date at which the car was given for the servicing, and then the date at which it was delivered back. But I'm going to just take the service date. So one date. This is the date at which the car was actually when the bill was prepared. This is the bill date. If you don't like, you can just take it as bill date also. So I'm going to just click on this one, and I'm going to import the Java.utilities start date. So date is the class of the utilities. So let me import that thing, Java.utilities start date. So I got this service date, and what else we need? I'm not going to go in depth into all the details. You may require the customer phone number and so on and so forth. I'm going to spare all those things. I'll take the bare minimum thing. Apart from this, I want to know which type of car was given for the service. Just one thing. The rest of them you can take it. Phone number is a string. You can take and store it into your database. So if at all you want it, you can just say phone number to call the customer. It's not really required, but I think I'll spare that thing. So if you want, just go with that. It's not really required. That's not going to be simply unnecessary add these. And the one that I want to show is this type of car. So I'm going to say string car type. This I want just to show, give a demonstration as how do I get that. This is regarding the first part. So your bill has the details of the. So if you take the bill will contain two pieces. One is it's going to contain the bill number, which I'm going to generate it, the date, the customer name, the its phone number and address and its details. And the next part of the bill is all the service that were done. So I made this part. Now these are individual items that you have added, and if you see in the bill, these are usually called as particulars. So individual piece is called as particular. Now that word is from the commerce background, so you can do it. So they call it as particular and particulars. So particular could be part. Particular could be service itself. They will charge you even for the service. So the whatever fitting and unfitting that they have done, that labor work, that is also particular. So labor charges they are going to put that is going to come as particular, one item. It's not just the part. Okay, so I will consider this. This is going to be a list there, and this list will have individual items. So I'm going to create one object to represent one particular, and I'm going to make a list of such a thing, and I'm going to store it. So let me create one particular, and then I will create a list of them. So let's go ahead and let's create one more class. I'm going to go here to my com, and I'm going to create one more class here. You can call it as part or particular, it's up to you. So I will create one more managed bin. See to that it is JSF managed bin. If you are not getting it, go to JSF and then go to others, JSF and do that thing. So it's a managed bin, and then I'm going to call this as particular. This is again inside the package com, and it has a request scope. So per request we will have one particular. So it's going to come per request. finish it off. So it's in the request scope, not on the other, and it's inside form. Let me finish it off. Let's get the details. So what are the things? I'm going to store it in the serial number. So when you build if you're saying the build there, the top part will be the details of the customer. The bottom one, everything is put in the serial order. So all the items will come in the serial order, and I want them to appear in the serial order. So I'm going to start with the serial number. So let's go ahead and let's do that thing. So I'll start a private int serial number. Private string particular name, and now if it is a part, you are going to get a few things there. If you are supplying it as a part, then private. So let's assume that they are replacing a part. Then you have part number, the part name, the price, and the quantity. So let's go with that thing. So unit price and quantity. I will make it as price, which is I'm going to take it as double, and then double quantity. Now when you say the quantity, you have to measure, you have to even specify the unit of measurement. So quantity, is it in terms of liters, is it in terms of meters, is it in terms of kgs, or is it in terms of units? So if they are replacing a bulb is a unit, 2 bulbs were replaced. If they are putting oil, then the unit is in milliliter or liter. If it is some other pieces, it may be in kgs or grams, something that grease or something that they have done. Or if it is a labor charges that they are putting, then again in unit, how many laborers were there? A few people. So per person they are charging 100 rupees. 2 people were there. So total charges will be 200 rupees. Right? You have to always specify the unit of measurement. So let's do that thing. I'm going to say string unit of measure. I think we are done with this. At this time, if something else is required, we can fix it later. I want the getter and setter, so I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to say insert code, and I'm going to get all the getters and setters. So I'll get the getters and setters, and so I got that thing. Now this is one particular, and I want to go to the customer. Customer will have many such particulars. So I'll go to the bill now. Bill will contain many particulars. So it contains actually particulars. So how do I get that thing? So I'm going to go to the bill now. So within the bill, I have the car type, and I'm going to say private, and I'm going to create a list of. Now the minute you type the list, it gets confused as to which list you are talking about. Again, I'm talking about the utilities list. So I will go here and say that it is the java.utilities that problem there. So when I go here, it's going to say what is the list that you are talking about. There are so many lists are there. Which list are you talking about? So I'm talking about java.utility.list. So list of, if you start over again, I have to specify particulars. You can use a control space to make it get the particular list of particulars, and I'm going to call it as particulars. So let's go ahead and let's get the getter and setter for it. So I'm going to right click on it, insert code, getters and setters, select all of them, and it's all done. So generate it. Now, one other thing that I want to do is I want to initialize both of the two things. The two things are, one is date and the other one is the list of particulars. I can do it in the constructor, but the problem is if you take a lot of time for creating the object, it's going to put a pressure on the JVM. You are asking JVM to do too many things just to create one object. JVM may not be happy in doing that. But I want to initialize the date as well as I want to initialize this list as the empty. Now this list is pointing to nowhere. It is not pointing to any object, but I want it to be initialized. So how do I do that? I want to initialize the list and initialize the date before using it. So I have to tell the container that before you start using it, even if you have an object, initialize it first, because I have not written anything in the constructor. If you notice, there is a constructor right at the bottom which has nothing inside it, and I'm not going to waste my time in doing anything. The constructor is empty, not doing anything, just asking it to create an object. Let it create an object. Once the object is created, I'm going to initialize. Now that initialization has to happen after the constructor is called, but before any other method is called. So I want to tell the container that once it is object is instantiated, do not try to call in any method, but call the one method that I'm going to type now as the first method. So after instantiation, this must be the first method. Only after this method is successful, any other method can be called. So how can I communicate that with the container? The way in which I do it is I am going to first write a method. So I will write a public method that does not return anything, and I'm going to call this as initialize, or I can even put my name there. So it's nothing. It's not going to be so, but the word will say it will mean something to other developers who are developing it. Now let me go to the service date and let me initialize it with the new date. You've done it in your previous classes. So I will initialize it with the new date. I think there is no constructor. I will not wait for it to give me a choice. Then I'm going to initialize this particulars as new. Remember, if I don't know whether you realize it or not, list is not a class. List is an interface. Using interface as option, you can create a new list. You can create something that is derived out of list, and one such thing that is derived out of list is the array list. This is again done in the previous classes. Let it give me a choice so that I won't make a spelling mistake. I think I better go with the second choice. If you type it like me, you can take the chance and then say it's in the Java.utilities.array list. So I'm missing taking a lot of time for it to figure out what is it. Now this is just an ordinary method. The word itself will not make any difference to the container. But how do I communicate with the container? You are already familiar from your last semester knowledge that if you want to communicate some information to the outside world, you are supposed to put the annotations. So I put the annotation, and I'm going to put the annotation as this is post control space. This time I really want it to try and give me an option, and I'm going to put on the annotation as post construct. So if you want, you can read this whole thing. Post construction is an annotation used on a method that needs to be executed after dependency injection is done. You don't know what is it. I'm not very sure whether you know it or not. But this annotation can also be used in something that even does not have the dependency injection. But in any case, I will make it as this one. I selected it, not I didn't type it. There is a reason why I'm doing it, because of this one. It has to import something, otherwise it will not recognize something on its own. So that's the reason I made the NetBeans type it for me. Otherwise, I will have to import that statement. So once the post constructor, this is an indication you're telling the container that you have to call this after the constructor. This is a post constructor method. So after calling the constructor, call the post constructor and then call any other method. So it's alright if you call the any other method. Now let's go back to the bill. Now we have the details of the bill. Let's create the bill on Oder. So I'm going to start with the bill now. So we will be only concentrating on the bill. Let's go ahead with the bill. And remove the content from here and make some space. So within this content, I'm going to put everything in a table so that it appears neatly. So I'm going to start with the table. Close the table and make some space even for the table. The table contains rows. So I'm going to say one row is here. So I have one row, and row contains columns, and the column is PD. I need two such rows, so columns. So I have two PD. So one row contains two columns, and the table has only one row. The first one is the customer name. I think the date. I'll take the first one as the date, and this is the word that I'm using, date. And then I'm going to start with the input text. If you want, you give an ID, but it is not required. Build it. If these words need not be same, I'm not going to use the ID. So it's not really required. The value is not validated. Value is, I will go and put this one. The value is, so I have this bill, and in the bill I have this service stage. If we close it, then in there. So let me close that at this stage. Okay, I think I can give a heading here. Let's make it a few minutes. I'll give a heading. It will be easier to give. Otherwise, people don't know what is it. So just after the, just before the table, I want to just give a information. Say cash bill. Let me put some style for this. So style. I'm going to say text align center. Again, I'm not typing. You notice the thing. I'm expecting NetBeans to type so that the spelling mistakes won't occur. And I think text size. I will take it as font size. No. Font size, say 16 points. So how is it going to appear if you try to look at it without doing anything? Save it and just refresh it. It should come. Form component. It's a good thing that you say that you started typing something without typing the form. Where is the form? You just missed the form. That this piece has to be inside a form. If at all, I'm submitting it at some other place. So let me go over here, and before the table, I'm going to start with the form. So before the table, I am making one small change. I'll put it inside view, and I will explain why this piece was done in the class when I talk about this theory. So I'll put this entire thing table slash table first inside F view and slash F view. So this whole thing is put inside F view and slash F view. You have the title which was there, and you have the F view and F view. I have not typed the form. I'll tell you why that is required in the theory class, and then I'll put the form and slash form. Small variation. So what I have is view slash view, form slash form, and the table will come inside. I'm doing it. The reason is I'm going to submit it finally. So I just want that thing to appear like this. So that error is gone. Now this date is not appearing in the way in which it should appear. So I'm going to just convert it down. So let me go over here, and I'm going to touch this date now. So this date is not coming properly. So the one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to just break it open at this place by removing that tag and then making it break open. So I'll just change this space and then open it to the other side. And if you want, you can put on the lines and make it appear. So this is TD and slash TD. This is the input text, and I will close it here and the other one in between. And I'm going to say f dot convert date time, and I'm going to give it a pattern. The pattern that I'm going to give will be the one that is required by the database. So the database requires it in this format. That's why I'm putting it, not that I like to do it. So this is 4 by 2M and 2D. This is how it is required, and I'm going to specify it to the user what I am typing. So I'm going to specify it to the user that you are supposed to type YYYY slash MM slash DD. So this is just a key to the user saying that type the date in this format, because I expect you to do that. And then I'm going to go to the database, to my application, and just refresh it. And now it's going to appear like this. So I'm telling the user that this is how I'm typing it, MMM by YYYY MM DD. So it is much easier for them to see what is it. Once one row is completed, I'm going to go with the second row, and in the second row again I need TR slash TR, then I need TD and 2TD, so the usual thing. Now the next one is I want the name of the customer, or if the user doesn't know whose name it is it the name of the person who is typing the bill, or is it the name of the customer? So I'm going to reduce that confusion there by saying this is the customer name. Type the customer name here, and I want it in the H input text, and I'm going to give it an ID which does not make any sense to me, but still C name, and I'm going to set the value. Value as bill dot customer name. The next thing that I want is phone number. That was absolutely not required, but I'm not going to waste my time for that. So I'm going to copy this whole thing. This one row, I'm going to copy it and then just paste it one more time. Alt Shift and F if at all you want to format it. And then I want customer phone number, not customer phone number. So otherwise it may confuse the others as to whose phone number they are supposed to type. So just make that. After this, I want one more TR. And then one TD. And the next one that I am supposed to supply here is the car type. So I need to supply this car type. Come on. I'm going to say car type. Now I'm not going to allow the user to type it because they may make a spelling mistake. So if they make a spelling mistake, then searching will be a difficult task in the database. First I'm going to use the TD and then I'll make some space for this one. I will start with the H colon select one menu. And inside this, I'm going to specify the select item. Item label is something, and item value, I'm going to type that value is something. Now there are varieties of cards are there, and if you are not familiar with that, you will have to learn about that. The garage people will be able to explain to you. So I will start with the one piece here. I'll get that case. In your case, you have to type it. I have the liberty of putting it directly, and it is not giving me a choice. So I will start with the first one, Control X, and I will have many variety there. I'll make it as pickup truck. The word is yours. I'm not going to waste my entire lifetime in doing that. Just to tell you that there are varieties of cards are there, and you must be prepared to accept the card type. So these are my card type. You can have more than that, but I'm restricting myself with the type of card. So if you save it and if you try to refresh your page, how is it going to appear? I think I made mistake. Yeah, sorry, I have not closed them anyway. I think I have not closed it here. Where is it? SUV. So, customer. This is phone number. Customer name. And one thing you'll notice here is it is not showing you an error in a complicated way. The minute you make some error, you'll notice there that the error that it is trying to show is in a neat way. It's trying to give you some good error saying that okay, this is what you might have done that. If this is what you are going to get it. So that's it. The next question is, can I read this from the database? The answer is yes. You can fill this from the database and you can ask the user to update it. Otherwise, every time a new car type comes, they will have to call you and they have to update the software and so on and so forth. So we have, up to here, we have everything proper. And now let's go ahead with the next part. So this build part is almost over. We don't have anything except the particulars. Now, so far what we have achieved in our build is we got the first part of the build. So this is the first part of the build. The second part of the build has to contain all the details. So you are going to type the details, one detail at a time, and you are going to be given an option to add one item at a time. And whichever item you are going to add, you are going to show it to the user saying that you have added this item, this item, this item, and so on. So we are going to get individual particulars or individual part and then transfer it to the table, separate table. Let's get an individual one. So I'm going to start with a new table. I won't go in the same table. So let me go over here and let me close this table first. And after this table, I'll start over a new table, otherwise it will get congested. So I have one table done. I'll put a break here so that it appears neatly. And then I'm going to start over with a div here. And I'm going to say particulars. If you want to change the font size, I'm not going to do that thing. And I'll start with the new table. So I have a break here after my table so that I get one line there, particulars, and then one more table. Now I'm going to get one item at a time. So in order to get one item at a time or one particular at a time, you need to get this one. The serial number. The serial number is the order number. Then you have the name, price, your unit, and unit of measure. Let's go and let's try to get one thing at a time. So within this second table, I'm going to go and add one more TR. So TR and TR, TD and TD. Remember, I have to get one details at a time. So this is one detail. First one is the serial number. So we can write it as here start number. This is a label, helper label. And then I need H colon, input text. And then I have the ID. I think the ID, I will reduce this part. ID is not being used in any case. Then I have a value. And the value has to come from the particular. Now, I gave the name as particular, dot serial number. Particular dot serial number. So this is one. I got one here. I'm not going to waste my time on this one. Control C to get the whole thing. So I have the serial number. Similarly, I have to get the that is particular name, price, quantity, and so on. So everything will come in one row. So I'm going to go here and copy this row first. Control C and then paste it again. Then I'll make it. Otherwise, I have to type again TD, TR, and other things. The second one is you can use Control Alt Shift and F to format it then and there. Next one is the name of the particular, and I'll say key name. You can give some other descriptive answer for that also. Key name. So this is the next row. Control V to paste again. Alt Shift F to format it, and then we have the price. If you want, you can say these are unit price, so that others will not get confused. So you may be knowing that this is the price. They may write the total price. They may have a calculator and they may start doing it. In that case, it will be a difficult challenge. This will create one more row. I will paste one more time. Can Alt Shift F to format it then and there. This is one more row that I've done. Quantity, and then this is price. So I've given a name for this one as price. Then quantity, QTY. If you don't want to waste your time, you can ignore that ID. It's not going to come anywhere. I'm not going to use a JavaScript to do anything with it. Quantity, but after this, again I'm going to paste it. Alt Shift F. Now this one is unit of measure. Unit of measure or measuring unit, whatever you want to write. Unit of measure. Some people don't call it as, some people call it as measuring unit. This is just a helper text. It has nothing to do with what we are doing. So measure is the ID. Now the question is, I'm not going to use a blank string there. The reason is then they will type anything and everything. Some people will type it in kilogram, the other one will type it in kg, or the third one will just type in G, and will be in big trouble. So I will again go for the select menu. So measuring unit again will be a drop down. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say H colon select one menu, and then I want to start with the select item. Again, can I read it from the database? This time I'm not going to do it. Maybe some other time. And label and item one. So I'll close it so that everything is proper. Control C to copy this whole thing, and I will use it for many times. So what are the things? I'm going to say liter, milliliter, if they are measuring it in ounce, then you will have to do that thing. But I'm just giving you a demo, so I'm going to say grams. Meters and say gram here because this is not a real application. And then persons. So if you say labor, then 2%. Units, what is this a unit? So if you say battery or tire, 2 units. So that they say that. Or even if some people call it as numbers, I don't know, in numbers. Some people even call it as pairs. Now these are all, you have to ask the garage people what they are doing. So I'm not going to. I will give you one last option here, saying that others which are not there, others, and if it is other, you are supposed to ask the user to update the database. Anyhow, I'll give a choice that if they are not happy with any one of them, they are supposed to do this. Now the usual question is, how do I tie this one? If you notice that in the previous case also, I have the list here, I have not tied it to anything. The previous one, the type of car I have not tied. I will come back to that. Let me finish this one. So I have the different types of menu items. How do I connect them? So let's go here and let's connect this one. Again, since I started with the ID, it's not really required. I'm going to say unit. And how do I connect it to them? I'm going to say value is particular dot unit of measure. So I'm tying the top one to the actual values. I have to do the same thing. I have not done it with the previous one. So let me do it. So this, I'm trying the top one, that is the outermost one, with the actual bin there. Now I have not done it in the previous case. This is for the unit of measures. For the car type also I have not done that thing. Let me go to this car type. I have not done it for the car type. So let me go over here and give it a ID, because I started with the ID. I'm going to say car type. ID is optional, and value is, I am not tied it, so I have to tie it with the bill and car type. So in the previous case it was a bill and car type. So I have to type even the previous one, so that it just get connected to the bin there, so that I can save it. So with all these things, how does it look like? I've not done any things. So particulars, and they're going to select something, and I'm going to put a button now here that will allow the user to add one item, the particular items. If you want, you can put it in the legend there. I will not waste time. So I'll give an option for the user to add. I'm going to put one more button here so that it can be added. Let's go ahead and let's add the last part. I want one more row here, not at this place. after the last row. Let me start one more. After this slash tr, so we have all the items and we have td and tr. Let's start one more tr here. So tr slash tr and td slash td. The first one I'm not going to use it. Again I'm going to start td and slash td. The second td I'm going to use it. So the second td will contain a command button. So I'm going to say I want a command button. The value of it, if you want, you give a name to it. I don't care for the ID. Value of it is add item or add particular, whatever you call it as. Let me make it as add item. Easy. So what is that you are going to get? The user is going to type something and they are going to click add, and when they add it, I want the list to be shown. See, you cannot simply add it and it goes into vapor. They don't know what they have added. So whatever they are adding, I'm going to show them in a table, and I'm going to say this is what you have added, this is what you have added, this is what you have added, and finally I'm going to give them an option. Okay, proceed the order now, and also I'm going to give them an option to make corrections if some changes has to be made. Finally they say okay, proceed the order, and if they click on process order, I'm going to process it. So I want a table now. After this I want a table. So whatever item I'm adding from here, this space whatever I'm adding, this has to go to the table that I'm going to draw now. So this has to go to the table, and I want to list all the items. So they can add one item, they can add the second item, and the second item has to appear here. They can add the third item will appear in the table. So let's get that table into the field now. So I'm going to go outside this table. So this finishes my previous table. So I will finish this table. So there were two tables were there. So I'm coming out of this table. The first table is over, second table is over. We have added the button there, and now I'm going to put a break here. Now I want a table that is or that helps me to edit the content, and it can dynamically change itself. I can't rely on the HTML table for doing it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to this window, ID tools, and palette. If the palette is already there, you can get so window, ID, tool, palette. So within the palette, this palette is already available. You notice that there is actually an option for JSF. So you can have JSF form, JSF entry, and so on and so forth. I'm going to get the JSF data table from the other side. So I'll drag this JSF data table, and I'm going to put it here, or you can double click on it. It's one and the same after the break. So I'll drag it and just place it after the break. So it's going to appear right. Now what it is going to do? It is going to get the list that you are adding, and it's going to display. Now if you notice the bill here, the bill has many things inside it. Now this, the first piece of this bill that is up to here, they are all individual items. The second one is the list. This is the list of particulars that they are adding. So whenever you are adding something here, whenever you are adding from here, this space that you are adding will go to the list. So this piece has to be saved in this list, particular list. So if you add one item, put it into the list. If you add the second item, put it again, and so on and so forth. And whatever that is there in the list, I'm going to show it in the table. The table that is going to come below this one will read everything from this list. So how difficult it is to get that thing into action. So let's go and let's go to the is here. It's going to say where is the value. I'm going to say that the values will come from the bill. So you get the values from the bill, and if the bill contains a list called as particulars. So this is the list. Get that list, and so this is a list. Now what you are supposed to do. So this is going to be a list there. So it's a list of items. You know very well. It's a list of items. So this is list of items. Take individual items from this list and assign it to here. So these are the individual items. So it's going to iterate through this list. Pick one item at a time and transfer it to this variable. So next item, transfer it. Next item. So if that iteration will be done automatically by it. That's the reason I didn't go for the ordinary HTML table. So you are telling that there is a list. Get this individual item and then transfer it to this item. Item is a big word. So you can use any variable, and you know very well that variable could be even a single letter. So I'm just making it as a single letter. You can call it as an item also, but to reduce the clutter, and then just make it as P to make it to say that it's a single particular. One particular from the set of particulars. Now let's get one row in action. So how do I create a one row? Remember, this P will be, this table will be iterated for every row. So you know very well, every row, within a row there will be columns, and you have to tell how many columns are there. So you have to specify here how many columns will be there per row. This thing is going to be repeated for n number of times, depending upon how many rows are there within the particular. So you have to just tell it how many columns are there. How do I tell how many columns are there? So let's go here into the data table, and then I'm going to go here and then say h, and then I'm going to say there is one. This is the first column. So how you type the PD there? We don't have PD here, but we have to specify column. Now within the column, you know very well, it's not enough if you blindly type the column. I want to show the header first. So you know very well, whenever you create a table, the first row you are putting the titles, like the item number, a name, and so on and so forth. So I want this piece. So this is the titles. So I want that title, so I need to specify the title first. So how do I specify the title first? To do that, I'm going to say F colon, and I'm going to say F colon, and I'm going to say paste it, and I'm going to give it, these are built-in header. So we have a header for the table, we have a footer for the table. So this is the header. Inside this, I'm going to type the header. So yes dot number. This is the label that I'm typing. Save it and just refresh it and see how is it going to appear. You get the S number. That's just you don't see the table. Let me get the border for the table. So let me go to this one. And let me get the border equal to 1, and maybe BG color equal to some color. I think it's going to take yellow. If it is not taking, I have to play around with the actual color. Let's see whether it is taking yellow or not. Suggestion is, I think, FFCC. I got one color. What did I do? I think you are already familiar with it. So this part is the red, R, G, B, three colors. So 2 hexadecimal value, 255 R, 255 G, that is green, and some value for this one. See, so you play around and you get the actual color. I'm not interested in that one. Okay. So you get one color. So you notice you get one color. Just say that you got it. You can change the color. It's not taken directly. So let me repeat it again. So let me repeat this column. I'm not going to type this column again. So let me repeat this column. Control C and Control V. Second column, and the second column is, I think, particular. Third column, unit price. I'll make it as price because they know very well that they type the unit price. Fourth column, control set. I have to type it outside the column. I think I have too many. Just give me a second. This is one column. This is not inside one. There should be one column at a time. One column. One column. It should be like that. Not one column inside the other column. It's going to confuse. So one column, one column, one column, like that. It should go in that order. And I have the price, quantity, and after this, again control V, one more column. Unit. So we have serial number, particular, price, quantity, and units. If you look at it now, F5, you get it. But it is this piece is not being added. Let's get that piece. So how do I get that piece? The facet is for the header. So this is for the header. And the next piece, whatever you are typing, outside this header will be the actual value. So how do I type the actual value? After this one, after the facet, I'm going to put, remember, individual values will be P here. So every item is taken as P here. So this is P dot. If you are taking it as an item here, it should be item. So P dot serial number. In the same way, Control C. After the facet for the second column, it is P dot particular name. Similarly, Control V, P dot price. Similarly, P dot quantity. And for the time being, P dot, later I'm going to change that. Unit of measure. So what am I supposed to do? Now, if you refresh it, it is not going to do any new thing there, unless and otherwise there is an error. Now the reason is I have not added an item. So if I add an item, it's going to do that thing for me. So what will happen if I add a item? If I add an item, I am supposed to, what is the meaning of saying adding an item? Adding an item means I am supposed to put one item into this particular. So how do I do it? I'm going to write a method for doing this. So let's write a method. So I'm going to say public string add item. It takes one particular. So it takes a particular or a part, whatever you say. I'm going to call it as P. And remember, I don't want it to go to the next page. And I told you, if you don't want it to go to the next page, then return null. So if you return null, it's not going to go to the next page. If you return anything apart from this, it's going to take it to the next. How do I add it to the list? I have particulars. So this is this particulars that I'm talking about. And I'm going to say add the center and it will do it. So take a particular from here, add it. Simple as that. Take a particular and add it. So that's the method. It takes one particular and add it to the list of particulars. So simple as that. Who wrote that method? Because it is already implemented within the list here. Array list implements that. So you don't have to write that. Now let's go to the CSS and let's go to our page and connect that add button. You have this add button here. You have to connect that thing to the other side. So let's go here and let's go to this command button that we have it here called as add item, and then let's connect it there. So let's go for an action, and the action is so it was inside bill. So I'll go to this bill. I wrote that method inside this bill. Dot add item. Add. And it's going to ask me, okay, where is this particular? So where is this particular? Now what is this particular that I was updating? Every time you notice that I was using this word called as particular. I said particular dot quantity, particular dot. So I'm going to take that particular word itself. So this is the object. Control C. That is the object implicitly instantiated and given to you, even though you have not taken any pain to do that. So I'm going to, it's not P here, it is particular. Add action, add item, particular. This is the word that we are using everywhere. Particular dot, this one particular dot, quantity, particular dot. That is actually an object that is instantiated and given to you. Automatically the framework will do it for you. So now let's press F5 now. Let's start filling the details. Serial number 1, name is tire, unit price is 1500, quantity is 2, it's in units, 2 units, add item, and you got it. Okay. Item number 2, fire, is over. Say oil, unit price is 750 rupees. Say 300 milliliters. Together.